Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're charting a course into a really critical piece of international law.
That's right. We're looking at the International Convention on Maritime Search and Rescue, the SAR Convention from 1979, but specifically focusing on the evolution up to the 2006 amended version.
And we'll be digging right into the source material here. The convention text itself, the articles, the annexes, which have all the operational detail, and those resolutions from 79 that kind of support everything.
Exactly.
So our mission for you in this deep dive, it's really to get a grip on the core ideas, the principles, and the international setup for how maritime search and rescue actually happens.
It's interesting, isn't it? The fact that it started in 79 but needed those significant updates leading to the 2006 version, it really underlines this ongoing need, this constant effort for countries to work together to save lives out on the water.
Yeah, that continuous improvement aspect is key. Okay, so let's unpack its origins. Hamburg, 1979. What was the main push? Why did nations feel the need for this specific agreement back then?
Well, it was kind of twofold. First, there was a need to sort of formalize the search and rescue methods that were already, bubbling up in different places.
Right.
But probably more importantly, it was about creating a really solid, agreed-upon international structure for coordinating these things when accidents happen. And it wasn't just about reacting. It was also meant to be proactive.
Proactive. How so?
Well, pushing countries to actually sit down and develop their own national SAR plans, and also smoothing out the international side of things.
Making it easier to cooperate across borders.
Exactly. Making sure procedures were in place so nations could help each other out effectively if an emergency, spilled over their area of responsibility. And those initial procedures, they got formally adopted in 85. That's when the convention actually came into force.
Okay, so what was the foundation? But you mentioned improvements were needed. What were the sticking points? Why the updates leading to 2006?
Yeah, a few things came up. For one, it just wasn't being picked up and implemented everywhere as fast or consistently as everyone had hoped.
Oh, okay.
And, practical experience just showed some weaknesses. Some parts of the original text were maybe a bit ambiguous or didn't quite work as intended on the ground. There was a general feeling it needed to be sharpened up to be more effective.
And who drove those changes? Was it a specific group?
The main driving force was the Subcommittee on Radio Communications and Search and Rescue ComSAR. They're part of the IMO, the International Maritime Organization.
Right.
And they really spearheaded a pretty detailed revision of the convention's annex. It took several years.
Can you give us a rough timeline on that?
Sure. So draft revisions for the annex got the nod from the Maritime Safety Committee, that's the MSC, another key IMO body in 97, and then again in 98. Those were resolutions MSC.7 and MSC.76.
So groundwork being laid?
Exactly. Setting the stage for the bigger changes around 2000.
And what were the main things tackled in that 2000 revision?
That was quite significant. Chapter 1, which is all the terms and definitions, got an update, just making things clearer, more consistent.
Always important.
Definitely. But the really big one was Chapter 2. That's the organization and coordination chapter. It was heavily redrafted.
How so? What was the new focus?
The big shift was putting much stronger emphasis on the responsibilities of governments, making it really clear that they had to establish and maintain effective SAR services.
Clarifying accountability.
Precisely. Because sometimes the original wording maybe left a bit too much room for doubt about who was primarily responsible, especially in overlapping areas. This rewrite aimed to nail that down.
Okay, so a real focus on who does what. What else changed in the annex?
Well, the chapters on preparatory measures is Chapter 3, and the operating procedures, Chapter 4. They were kind of reorganized and incorporated elements from the previous structure, beefing them up a bit.
Right.
And also the original Chapter 6 on ship reporting systems. That was updated and got moved up to become Chapter 5. Shows how important those systems are seen for SAR.
Got it. And then the final step to the 2006 edition we're looking at.
Yeah, the version we have now incorporates some further tweaks adopted by another resolution, MSC 155578, back in May 2004, and those changes officially kicked in on July 1st, 2006. So that's the current operative version.
Okay, great. Let's dig into the convention's main articles then. Article I talks about general obligations. What's the core commitment there? Sounds fundamental.
Oh, it is. Article 1 is the bedrock, really. It basically says that countries signing up the parties, they promise to take all the steps needed, whether it's passing laws or other actions, to make the convention and its annex fully work in their country.
So it's not just signing, it's doing.
Exactly. It's a binding promise. Each country agrees, okay, we'll put this into practice nationally. It's about making the whole global system function.
Then Article 2 mentions other treaties and interpretation. What's that about? Avoiding conflicts.
Essentially, yes. It clarifies that this SAR convention isn't meant to step on the toes of other international law development, especially the big one, the UN Conference on the Law of the Sea.
So they should work together.
Right. It's about ensuring these related legal frameworks can coexist and complement each other.
Makes sense. Article 3 deals with amendments. For something that needs to stay current, that seems pretty vital.
Absolutely crucial. Article 3 spells out exactly how the convention can be changed over time. And interestingly, it actually sets different thresholds, different acceptance levels for changing the main articles compared to changing the technical details in the annex.
Oh, why the difference?
Well, the thinking is that the operational stuff in the annex, the procedures, the technical bits, might need updating more often based on new tech or lessons learned,
Right.
whereas the core legal principles in the main articles are maybe more stable. So it allows for more flexibility in updating the annex.
Smart. Okay, and then Articles 4 through 8 seem more administrative joining, coming into force languages. Can we quickly run through those?
Sure. Article 4 lays out how a state formally becomes a party signing, ratifying, accepting, etc.
Standard treaty stuff.
Pretty much. Article V states when it enters into force, which initially happened 12 months after 15 states signed on.
Okay.
Article 6 covers denunciation, how a country can leave the convention. Article 7 names the IMO Secretary General as the depositary, the central hub for official documents and communication.
The record keeper.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, Article 8 just lists the official languages Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish, confirming they're all equally authentic versions.
Got it. Okay, let's move into the annex then. This seems like where the real practical guidance is. Chapter 1, terms and definitions. Why is getting definitions precise so critical here?
Oh, absolutely vital. In any international cooperation, everyone has to be on the same page about what words mean. Misunderstandings can, well, cost lives in SAR.
Right.
So Chapter 1 nails down key terms like search that's defined as an operation usually coordinated using available resources to find people in distress.
And rescue.
That's retrieving those people, giving them initial care, and getting them somewhere safe. It also defines the whole search and rescue service, the entire system covering monitoring, communication, coordination, the actual operations.
Very thorough. What other key terms stand out?
Well, there's the Rescue Coordination Center, the RCC. That's the main hub in a specific region, responsible for organizing and coordinating SAR. Think of it as the nerve center.
Right.
Then you have rescue subcenters, or RSCs, which support RCCs in parts of their region. And critically, it defines the different emergency phases.
Ah, yes, I saw those. Uncertainty, alert, distress.
Exactly. Uncertainty phase, there's some doubt about safety. Alert phase, concern is growing. Maybe a distress situation is unfolding. And distress phase, reasonable certainty someone's in grave immediate danger and needs help now. Having these phases helps standardize the response level.
That clarity seems essential for deciding how to react. Okay, Chapter 2, organization and coordination. This sounds like the heart of the operational setup.
It really is. Chapter 2 spells out what parties have to do to make sure the necessary structures are there, providing and coordinating SAR services along their coasts.
And the RCCs are central to that.
Absolutely. Establishing rescue coordination centers is a key requirement, and potentially rescue subcenters too.
What are the must-haves for an RCC?
They need to be running 24/7, nonstop.
Makes sense. Emergencies don't keep office hours.
Precisely. And they need trained staff who are proficient in English. That's vital for international communication during an incident.
Common language aspect.
Critical. The chapter also stresses coordinating between maritime and aeronautical SAR services. Often, incidents involve both.
Good point. And how are the areas of responsibility decided, these search and rescue regions?
Yeah, these SAR regions aren't strictly based on national borders. They're meant to be defined by agreement between neighboring countries.
To avoid gaps or overlaps.
Exactly, to ensure seamless coverage. And fundamentally, Chapter 2 hammers home the obligation for all parties to help anyone in distress at sea. Doesn't matter their nationality, doesn't matter the circumstances, help is required.
A core humanitarian principle, really.
Embedded right there.
Okay, Chapter 3. Cooperation between states. Given how quickly you can cross maritime boundaries, this must be hugely important.
You hit the nail on the head. Incidents don't care about lines on a map. So Chapter 3 is all about how countries should work together.
How specifically?
It emphasizes parties coordinating their own SAR organizations with their neighbors. setting up clear procedures, for instance, for when one country's rescue boat or helicopter might need to enter another country's waters or territory to help out.
Smoothing the way for cross-border assistance.
Precisely. It's about removing barriers to getting help where it's needed, quickly. The chapter also requires each country to designate specific authorities' points of contact to handle requests for SAR assistance from other nations.
So you know exactly who to call.
Right. Makes the whole process much more efficient when time is critical.
Okay, Chapter 4 gets into operating procedures. What are the key steps laid out here for an actual SAR operation?
This chapter details the how-to. It starts with preparatory measures, basically, making sure the RCCs have all the up-to-date info they need.
Like what kind of info?
Things like what rescue resources are available nearby, latest weather forecasts, navigation warnings, that sort of thing, crucial for planning.
Got it. And
then it covers how to handle the incoming information when an emergency alert comes in, the initial actions, and the specific steps to take during those different phases we mentioned: uncertainty, alert, distress.
right, linking back to the definitions.
Exactly. It provides protocols for each stage.
And what if multiple countries get involved in one incident?
The convention provides guidance for that too, coordinating when two or more parties are responding. A key part is designating an on-scene coordinator, someone at the location to direct the actual search and rescue efforts there.
Someone in charge on the spot.
Yeah, to avoid confusion and manage resources effectively. And finally, Chapter 4 also deals with the tough calls, the procedures for deciding when to terminate or suspend a search operation, laying out the factors to consider.
That must be incredibly difficult.
It is. Having clear guidelines helps ensure those decisions are made systematically and appropriately.
Right. Last chapter in the Annex, Chapter 5.
Mhm.
Ship reporting systems. How do these fit into the SAR picture?
These systems are a major supporting tool that basically involves ships voluntarily reporting their position and intended rate.
So authorities have a better idea of where ships are.
Exactly. If a ship then gets into trouble, having that recent position report, its sailing plan, it can drastically cut down the search area and the time it takes to find them.
Huge advantage.
Massive.
Yeah.
So Chapter 5 outlines how these systems should be set up, what kind of reports ships might send, like a sailing plan before they leave, position reports along the way, a final report when they arrive.
And what info goes in those reports?
The essentials: ship ID, position, course, speed, intended track. The kind of data that helps build that picture of maritime traffic for the SAR authorities.
Okay, that covers the Annex. But you also mentioned resolutions from the original 79 conference. These aren't part of the convention text itself, but sound important.
They are very important. They provide extra guidance, sort of reinforcing the intent behind the convention articles and annex. Think of them as strong recommendations adopted at the same time.
Right, like Resolution 1, what did that urge?
Resolution 1 really pushed states to get on with providing the necessary SAR services and to coordinate effectively, both nationally and with their neighbors. A direct call to action.
And Resolution 2 about the cost of ship reporting systems.
Yeah, that one recommends that ships shouldn't have to pay any message fees for participating in these reporting systems.
Why is that?
The idea is simple. Remove any cost barrier to encourage more ships to participate. The more ships reporting, the more effective the system is for everyone's safety.
Makes perfect sense. What about Resolution 3?
Resolution 3 tackled potential confusion. It recognized that if every country had a different format for ship reports, it would be chaotic. So it stressed the need for internationally agreed formats and procedures. Standardization.
Avoiding mix-ups. Resolution 4 mentions SAR manuals.
Yes, it urges states to use the guidelines found in internationally recognized SAR manuals, like those developed by the IMO. These are basically the best practice guides, the detailed how-to for conducting operations.
Okay. Resolutions 5 and 6 seem focused on communications tech.
They are. Crucial area. Resolution 5 deals with radio frequencies, allocating specific frequencies just for distress and safety messages.
Protecting those channels.
Absolutely. And Resolution 6 looked ahead, highlighting the importance of developing a global maritime distress and safety system, the GMDSS, recognizing that a unified global communication system is essential for worldwide SAR.
A big picture view. And the last two, 7 and 8.
Resolution 7 emphasizes linking up SAR services with maritime weather services. Getting accurate, timely weather info is critical for planning safe and effective searches.
Obvious synergy there.
Definitely. And finally, Resolution 8 promotes technical cooperation, urging states to help each other out with training personnel, providing equipment, sharing knowledge, building SAR capacity globally.
So, pulling all this together then, The convention, the annex, these resolutions, it really paints a picture of a comprehensive, evolving international effort.
It absolutely does. It lays down the key principles. Cooperate internationally, organize nationally, follow clear procedures, all focused on that ultimate goal,
Yeah.
saving lives at sea. And the fact that it has evolved with amendments and ongoing attention shows it's a living framework adapting to needs.
And understanding this framework, it really gives you, the listener, a much clearer picture of the incredible international machinery that clicks into gear when there's an emergency out on the ocean. It's not just ad hoc, there's a whole list of them.
There is. And perhaps a final thought for you to ponder. We see more and more ships, more movement of people by sea. We see climate change affecting weather patterns and sea conditions. We see new technologies emerging all the time. So how might these factors shape the future of maritime search and rescue? How will this SAR Convention need to continue evolving to meet the challenges and maybe the opportunities of the decades ahead?